Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 10 tips and tricks for the beginning phase in Dwarf Fortress. It's all about stuff that gives you a little bit more survivability, that irons out the problems in the early game, and it's for people that have mastered the basic controls and just are looking for a few things to make their life easier in the early game. Now, number one. Put yourself an underground storage up when you just embark. You don't need to think too much about that. Just dig out a room, make a stockpile, command them to just store everything in there. Don't you worry, they don't store trash, and call it a day to begin with. This will now prompt the rest of your folks to just store the things that are on the wagon downstairs below. This is really good if you happen to have thieving animals in your biome. Admittedly, this doesn't happen that often, but if you are just happening to see your only anvil being carried away by a monkey or something comparably annoying, you know why this is just really useful to have. Animals usually don't go downstairs to steal things, and it's a first step. If you want to make it really sure, build a hatch on top of it, but getting ahead of myself. So, number two that I want to talk about, a couple of job configurations that will help you out tremendously early on. So here in the labor menu, first up, your starting setup has enough gear to bring 3 miners when you have the standard embarkation, which I would recommend if you are new to the game. So you can easily just assign 3 people here to be miners. They will still take up jobs, but your whole mining efforts will go faster. Next step, plant gatherers and planters. Select one person to do this, and only one person, and do it like this. You want to accumulate as many XP as possible in these jobs on one person in particular, because in this game you get more crops the more skilled you are, and therefore, you know, this is just efficient. The next thing that you want to look up here are the standing orders. You want to forbid the folks to collect automatically webs, because this will make them run underground into really dangerous and very carelessly, so don't allow that. The other thing here is disallow that everybody harvests. We want only the farmers to harvest. While everybody gets the same yield, it yields experience to harvest, so you don't want to waste this either. Then you have chores. Ideally, don't let children do chores, or if you want to do, just don't let them do any grisly work because that traumatizes them. And last but not least, among these things, I really like to disallow them to claim other dead. Because when something dies somewhere, people will just run there and try to grab it, which I find a highly unhealthy behavior. And now you have the worst things sealed out, except for one thing. You need to go to the kitchen and forbid your folks to cook with plump helmets, because that would destroy the seeds, and this will be bad for your food production. Which brings me directly to number 3, your initial food production. So you have 2 ways how you can do this. For one, you can do some agriculture in the muddy soil here. If you want to do this, it's very simple. You just go into the farming menu, set up a farm plot. I like to do them 4 on 3, but it's up to you how you want to do this. There we go. And if you don't know anything about the game, just follow plump helmets. Plump helmets can be made into drinks, and your dwarfs need drinks more than they need food. So this is a very good basic setting. To give you a quick overview, you can produce food out of sweet pods or drinks. Quarry bushes are your regular food source, not drinks, stuff that goes into the belly. Wheat is for flour, pigtails is for textiles, and sweet pods can be transformed into sugar as well. But you don't do anything wrong if you start out with just planting out plump helmets and going into the gathering menu and just forage outside there. You see, everything that has been now highlighted is something we can gather and pick from. So the last thing that you now need to do is set up a farmer's workshop, no, not farmer's workshop, set up a kitchen and a brewery still, and then you can already sufficiently source enough food for the early game. It is still better to go for more than that. Let me chop a few trees real quick. It's absolutely good to go later down the road for more than that, but when you're just beginning out, it is absolutely okay to get a very minimalistic setup. I will talk about a couple of things that you need down the way as well. So, number 4, when you start out somewhere, it is really highly recommendable to check on out where the aquifer is, if you have any. So if you opted out of aquifers on your map, I would recommend you to try out at least light aquifers, because they are a very, very good source of water. So what I like to do is to just dig downstairs 10 levels where I assume that I will want to not build currently, so I can go downstairs and find where the aquifer is. Since I'm currently playing a tutorial map, there is no aquifer present, but if it would be, you need to either smooth the walls via this command here, if you can smooth the walls, and if you don't can smooth the walls because it's clay or something like that, mine them out and construct regular walls in there, and you're good to go. The earlier you know where the aquifers are at, the earlier you know how you can design your your empire down below. And that is why you want to check this out as quick as you can. So number 5, here is a very, very quick guide to automate things. You merely need a carpenter or a stoneworker, depending on which material you want to work with. Let's put up both. You should have both anyways. This is a very minimalistic setup and not not in any way a good example of how to build a good fortress. It's more about the mechanics here. So you build either a chair, wooden chair, or a rock throne. Yeah, they serve the same function. It's just different names. It takes a while to make that chair. Now we forbid and enable it again, so this thing is not carried around by anybody. Then you set up a chair into a corner of your liking. Chair's there. And now all you need to do is to call that chair an office. Go into your nobleman's menu. Assign yourself a manager. Expedition leader is usually the best take. Then this office shall be assigned to your expedition leader. And there we go. Office without walls. This little room is now all you need to unlock the work orders menu, and now you can automate whatever you want to automate. You don't need to do more than that. You can, obviously, but I wanted to showcase here that it really doesn't take more than that. So, number 6, a couple of must-haves in the storage department. Really, really, really quick. So, bins. I personally love wooden bins. If you can make them out of other materials, it's fine. You don't need barrels if you go instead for rock pots. It's up to you. If your biome has tons of wood, go for barrels, but rock pots and barrels store liquid foods and other stuff. Both of them are really, really important, and you basically can't have enough of these. My regular work order looks like this. I usually tell them to have at least 10 empty rock pots. They will do tons of rock pots this way, but tell you what, you have tons of stone down there below, and it doesn't matter really much in that regard. The last thing that you need are bags. You will need to have some sort of a textile industry, cloth, leather, or silk or yarn, to make bags out of. Because in bags, you can store sophisticated things or materials for sophisticated goods like clay, for example. Does not happen without a bag. But also other materials want to be stored in bags, and if you have bins, barrels, or pots and bags together, you have the most important things except for chests. These are called either coffers when you want to make them out of rock, or chests when you make them out of metal. These are necessary for certain rooms to work. You won't be getting this to work without. So yeah, these are the basics of storage, and when you have plenty of these, you have basically everything you need for the sake of storing your items. I personally have made very, very good experiences with just going in an overkill method with these materials. Just have as many as you want to. Think of it like this. room in this game is technically endless, or not technically, but you see, you have so much room where you can store stuff at. It doesn't really matter. So, next step on my list. What I really, really love to do is to probe for my caverns really, really early. So it goes like this. I go here for a little side shaft, which I put a door in here so I can close it off, or a drawbridge. And then we go downstairs below. I right now hold the left shift key while I'm scrolling downstairs. This takes me 10 levels downstairs at once. So now we have a lot of digging commands, and let's cancel out a couple of these here so they don't accidentally destroy our stair shaft. So eventually you will hit the caverns, and that is exactly what we want. Why is this cool? Once you have opened up the caverns, all this underground floor here can have floor fungus. Once you have floor fungus, you can assign your pen and pasture zone, which you have upstairs at the beginning of the game, where you will store all of your grazing animals. Then you can have it downstairs, because all the grazing animals of yours can munch and nibble on that underground lichen. Therefore, getting a quick smack into the caverns is really a good thing, actually. You can just seal it off afterwards by just digging one tile next to it. Or wait a second, not like this. By digging one tile next to it with a stairwell upstairs, just like this. And then you can safely put a floorboard on the tile which opens up into the caverns. Way up is secured, way down is closed. So this is how I do it regularly. So we now can wait until these blokes hit a opening there, and then you have a knowledge about your caverns. This doubles down into usefulness because you also know then how far you can build, how far you can design before you hit the caverns. Therefore, search for that area as quick as possible. Sealing it off is really only log or boulder. It's not more than that. So, number 8, early zones that are totally worth it. So, first up, make yourself a meeting area. This makes your dwarves hang out somewhere else than the wagon. The wagon is not necessarily the safest place to be at. Next thing you can do, make another meeting area and transform it into a temple. You can check on out if you have a severe overweight towards a certain deity. They're all random. You can go for that. But if not, I highly recommend to go for a no specific deity temple, because that will make a hangout zone for your folks where they can just pray regardless of the religion that they belong to. This is really powerful and doesn't cost you anything, because they don't need a shrine or anything like that. So this is one thing. And the other thing is setting up a dormitory. Build yourself a couple of beds, make a room, put these beds in, and you can easily set up a tavern. That's the last one I want to show. Oh, I did a mistake on these. I'm very sorry. Always include the walls. Silly old me. It should look like this. What am I thinking? So including walls is important because the value of the walls gets added into the room. Don't, yeah. There we go. So here you get a warning about overlapping areas. Try to avoid that when you design your city, because they have to share the value of the walls. But in the beginning of the game, it doesn't really matter at all. So what we set up now next is a tavern. And you can now set up a tavern keeper if you want to, but you don't need to. All you need to put into the tavern now to make it work is a chest, and you're good to go. So you can construct one of these. And, well, let's go for one more, then I'm done. And a dining hall. You can set up a dining hall quite easily. It just needs to have doors and a couple of tables and chairs. Just mind you, only one chair per table. Dwarves hate to share their eating space. So these are early zones that will help you out and cost you not much. And as you see here, people are already chilling out and growing happy here. So number 9, rock up some trade. You're starting your regular game in the springtime, if you are not having any particular other starting configurations, and the first caravan will hit town in the autumn. You can set up a trade depot until then and sell things. And I highly recommend to check on out anything that you can sell. So that means your crafts dwarf, which you also need for making lots of containers, can produce many money-making things out of various materials. It strongly depends on your biome, whether you have shells, so you can make things there, bones out of hunted and dead creatures. There's plenty of things, and if everything fails you, take rock and wood, or go to the jeweler and just cut gems and sell them as they are. The thing here is quite simple. Selling something early game has the advantage that I made the experience the first 2 caravans that reach your city are the most interesting, because until after that, you basically can make most things yourself. But at that point, having something to trade for was always something I appreciated and enjoyed, because they always had something I was lacking at that point. Okay, so which brings me up to number 10, the last point, your early game time frame. So your first year or your first 2 years, that is a very varying time frame. It seems to be a little bit random. Your population will not grow past 20 people. This is the point where you should set up yourself a nice little city, which contains lots of bedrooms, workshops, everything you require for growing. In this particular time, you will regularly get the notification that there is nobody coming to your town. This is the time for you to take breath and get things going. Things that I personally think must happen until your fortress grows past that is some way of metal production. So get yourself the ore, get yourself the fuel, get that going in some way. Once your population exceeds 50, you can be attacked by were creatures, which is really nasty. So you have to be able to fight at that point already, but in all honesty, it almost never happens. It is technically possible, and that's why I mention it, but don't worry too much about it. Population 80 is the point where things get spicy, because that is when you can get raided. This is the point where you should have actually a military force available, 10 people at least, that can fight and defend your place, because otherwise you will have problems. Also, traps and fortifications come in handy at that point as well. Once your population exceeds 100 and such, I think it was, you can get attacked by titans, and forgotten beasts regularly appear too. I don't know what the trigger for the forgotten beasts was in details, but either way, once your fort exceeds 80 people, you better have 2 or 3 battle squadrons ready, opportunities to seal off your fort or your caverns from things you just cannot beat. These will be web-spitting monsters, flame-spitting monsters. These are really the most troublesome. And here I don't find the caverns at all, but right on cue. So, yeah, and after all that, you are pretty much good to go, whatever you want to do. The threats don't grow more severe from that point on. You have seen the worst things after that, and you're then ready to just build whatever you want. It is really the most important breakpoint in my experience is to find, to get yourself ready to digest that flood of people that comes after population 20, and all of a sudden your fort goes big. This is why you must prepare your city, and I highly recommend, while you have still 20 people, dig as many bedrooms as you can, because at the end of the day, your population will grow to 200 when you have standard settings, and you will need rooms for these people. So better prepared, because the better you are prepared, when the growth hits town, the easier everything gets after that. Also, food production. Try to get your food production away from the surface area, unless you have massive forage. You can technically survive off of forage. If you don't have forage, you either need to pour water on regular cavern floor to make it muddy, which makes excellent farming soil, or you build your farms directly downstairs below to the caverns, which happens to have also very excellent farming soil, but is way more dangerous. But it has to look like this. This doesn't work. This would. But you can't create that with water. This is why I also recommended the aquifers, because these also provide the water you need for irrigations. You can also use this water, any water works. Have fun drowning your dwarfs. Jokes aside, this is the end of the the end of the video, and I hope it was helpful for you. And let me know in the comment section what you think I should have included, or what you would have seen here as well, or whatever. I like to talk back about this topic because it's a big game after all. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider donating to the channel. A YouTube channel membership thingy would also be really, really nice. Check out the description box below, there's plenty of methods as well for the support. Thanks for everybody supporting the channel, it means a lot to me. And I want to say thanks for watching this video as well. I hope you had a great day, and see you soon.